We often think of space as this vast empty frontier, but in reality, it's getting dangerously crowded. Millions of pieces of space debris are racing through orbit at incredible speeds, threatening satellites, space stations, and future missions. But what if we could track and predict these hazards with greater precision than ever before? Today, we are joined by Leonidas, the mind behind a groundbreaking startup tackling one of the biggest challenges in modern space exploration: detecting and managing space debris. We'll also dive into the challenges surrounding institutional space and how to be disruptive in the space industry. If you care about the future of space, you won't want to miss this conversation. Leonidas, over to you.
Student of the UN, right? I came here to study aerospace. Then I also started a second degree, which is engineering science. I was doing a double bachelor's. And yeah, somewhere at this point, I went to work at DLR, Robotics and Mechatronics Institute. So I was pretty involved, let's say, in the process of deorbiting debris and catching targets in space mostly. But this led to me exploring more the area of space debris and the problem in general. So yeah, I mean, at some point I found an idea of how to detect it pretty well, so to say, like this mass of debris that is currently undetected, less than 6 centimeters. And I said, okay, instead of making a publication about it, let's make a patent. And that's how everything started.
Okay, so you worked in DLR, so the German Aerospace Center, and then you found something that they were not doing, and you're like, okay, this is an opportunity.
Pretty much. You can say like this, but yeah, it's more like a global phenomenon, not just DLR, right? So yeah, there's this lack of knowledge in the debris data I mentioned. So yeah, that's what I did.
Can you talk more about the technology? Maybe not something that the patent, like not the secret, but again, like how would you explain to a 5-year-old what you're doing?
5-year-old, all right. That's a different. Okay, cool. So what we're doing, we want to detect space trash, right? So once satellites collide, they produce fragments. And the thing that if you equalize the forces, let's say centrifugal and gravitational, they remain in orbit for quite a long time because there is no disturbance. There are some disturbances, we call them perturbations. Yeah, 5-year-olds don't understand probably, but anyways, because of this artifact, so to say, they stay in orbit, especially depending on the altitude. And because they are moving really fast, up to 40,000 kilometers an hour, or even, I mean, depending on the altitude, but this is the maximum they can go, and therefore they can damage functional satellites. So once they collide, even if they are 1 to 6 centimeters in size, because of the impact, they have high kinetic energy, high speed, even with low mass, they can do damage. So they can destroy the satellite. The problem is that the satellites cost from 100 million to 2 billion US dollars. So this one small fragment that flies over there from a previous guy that got crushed can actually destroy a new one. So yes, our technology aims to detect these small debris, these non-luminous debris that others cannot see with cameras, that they cannot see from the ground, they cannot see even from orbit. And we're doing so by employing some radar technology in space. The reason why no one did it before is because they don't have the technology we have on the astrodynamic side, rather than the, let's say, detectors and electronics. So yeah, by using and enhancing, let's say, the way we scan orbit, then we can manage to make it happen. So in a nutshell, that's the technology about and how we start.
Okay, so basically, if I have a satellite, I can buy a sensor from you and some software, and then it will help me to avoid all the space debris.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to the product and service side, we have some more because we have to diversify, but also to give different variety of services. So we have detection, we have collision avoidance, as you said, we have risk estimation for collisions, which we give to insurance companies. We have quite some variety of services, but technology-wise, that's the key part.
Okay, and how far are you in this process already?
So far we have the so-called TRL5, technology readiness level 5, which by definition are, very different definitions are out there, but by definition we have demonstrated on the ground relevant technology. And what this is about, we have the machine learning models we want to apply so that we can detect further away from the radar cross-section and other signal we take back from the radar. We have demonstrated already that we can double the distance of detection from conventional methods. So this is already demonstrated on the ground with a radar toolkit that we already bought. So we bought the hardware to accelerate the process, and we demonstrated the software. And yeah, I mean, based on that, we continue further. We have the architecture of the radar already set. We have already achieved the general architecture pipeline of the framework, how it should look like. So-called phase 0 has been done, and we're moving forward, close to PDR. And yeah, that's technology-wise. Yeah, business-wise, then, yes, we have already identified the key customer groups. We have contacted some of them. We have LOIs, yes. We are participating in different, networking events and conferences. And yeah, there is interest. We have spoken with all the different major customer groups. And we are preparing actually to launch some campaigns soon, but we'll see.
I also read on your LinkedIn that you worked on something similar. It was ACT Labs, and
Yes.
I'm curious if it's fine that I ask you. If it's not, then we can cut it off.
So the
how
thing
does why transition happened?
Exactly. So I mean, you can see like there is a different name. Like so far, we are stealth still on the new one, so we didn't share a lot. But it's like I started like with ideas I mentioned at the beginning, somewhere like 2 years and something more ago. So I started building a team. I found some people. We started working it. Then at some point, it didn't work out well, and we said, okay, let's stop it as it was. And yeah, after I would say a couple of weeks, maybe month, I said, okay, it's a good opportunity to lose it, and I went back on the track and found a new one, found a new team. And that's why the difference in names came up.
Okay, so it was because of the team, let's say, and let's say intellectual property things, or
I mean, to be honest, it's not like it's not that the team caused the problem. It's rather that we had external factors, like we wanted to apply for exit Corona stipendium from the German government, and we had the budget freeze. If you remember, it was like this crisis somewhere in October last year, so they stopped giving exit. And we had people on the team. One of them actually had a PhD already, so he couldn't afford not having a salary for a long time. And yeah, this created, let's say, a chain reaction on many things. So yeah, then we said, okay, it doesn't go further, at least so far. And then I said to myself, okay, let's go for it.
I'm asking because I think that's something that happens a lot, that like there are some problems that appear, and then you are the one who have to push everything, and I guess you are the main, let's say, the main person behind continuing this, because I'm assuming you're quite passionate about space.
That's why I'm here, actually. I wouldn't come to Germany out of, nowhere to that. So
it was your, let's say, childhood dream to work in space, or?
I'm coming from an island in Greece, right? So it's like in the middle of nowhere, like a village, out of civilization almost. And yeah, I mean, the only thing I could do as a kid was, just watch some NASA YouTube videos and have a telescope looking at the stars. So yeah, I mean, let's say that it affected me a lot on the way forward.
Okay, that's amazing to hear that you kind of living your dream, I guess.
How to say, the trajectory that you follow towards the goal, as you say, like it can be different. So yeah, I mean, so far seems good. Let's see how we continue from here.
Yeah, and also I've read that you were or still a part of VAR.
So yeah, I mean, again, I was there. It was pretty motivating and inspiring to be with other fellow students with same interests, but I would like it to be faster.
Okay, that's interesting. And I guess that's also why you decided to leave DLR, because that was not moving fast enough for you as well.
Not the same reason. Like DLR is the so-called institutional space, so you have the government giving funding to the space agency, and then they have to proceed accordingly. They have a lot of risk that they don't want to take, pretty much, and that's what leads them to be necessarily slow at some points. It's not their fault, right? So yeah, I mean, this affects a lot of things in the development, and yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons I also just didn't continue. I mean, I'm still active in the research. I'm just not, let's say, full time on it.
Okay, and also you're saying we a lot. Can I ask you about your team? Maybe you can introduce them and talk about their background.
No one can do anything by themselves, right? So that's why I always say we. I mean, I didn't do something myself. I did it with a team. So we are kind of 6 people now full time. We get 3 people part time, and we continue taking more. 3 months ago, we were about 2. Like once we started again from scratch. So yeah, telecommunications background. Of course, we have the radar, right? We have simulations and data science. We have a lot of machine learning. We have astrodynamics and space technologies, a lot of orbital mechanics. And then we have business development, financials, sales. We got one again now, and continue expanding. I mean, actually, we are still looking, and we are always looking for people, either students or full-time. So, I mean, that's why also here, like, all the people that listen to this, like, feel free to reach out.
Okay, great. Any particular backgrounds?
For the ones that we're looking, or for the ones we have?
Yes, for the ones that you are looking.
Okay. I mean, first of all, engineering, of course, right? We have a lot of things to do, like what we say, like the tagline, once we have the engineering meetings, let's make the impossible possible. So a lot of things in machine learning, a lot of things in computer science, of course, space technologies, systems engineering, a lot of different, related to the spacecraft technology, but also telecommunications, electronics, embedded systems, and many more. I would say, like, we don't look for experience, we look for passion and intellectual properties, so to say. So I will look for individuals that can think and adapt to situations. So experience is not an option. And then on the other side, business development, we really need a lot of people there because we have focused a lot on engineering lately. But we need operations, we need marketing, we need more on the financial and business analysis. So
As I understand, a lot of people, and you as well, come from technical background. Is there something in particular that you had to learn for the startup? Because you have to manage people, I guess, you have to do some business that's not avoidable. If you want to avoid, still it hunts you. So what was the maybe biggest challenge for you to learn how to do it as a startup founder?
I've been to Unternehmertum, like pretty much all the courses they had from scratch, like from innovative entrepreneurs all the way to explore, now entrepreneurs, hopefully soon. So I mean, like I took a lot of, let's say, education that every startup founder has to take. And I would say, not just from Unternehmertum, but also other sources, the most important thing that someone has to understand is that making a startup is never the same with anything that happened before, right? That's why someone finds a USP and goes for it. There are many different patterns that repeat. As you said, management, you can use a lot of existing knowledge out there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel everywhere. But as a general learning, like for all the people aiming to make something new, is that you should never listen to an advice, I would say, including my advice right now. So like really try to be, I don't know, innovative, some people say it, but non-conventional, I would summarize it.
I'm also curious how your understanding of maybe a problem or a process changed and as you went further, because I guess that you started with a problem, like you knew what you want to solve. And then I'm curious, as you did more interviews or started doing research, did it change much or something that was surprising for you as you continued?
Well, as you said, I started with a problem. Like I saw the need, like that's what I said at the beginning, and tried to solve it. Then the next step was to find out if people need about it, or let's say if there is a urgent or big enough need. Like both things are different, so you have to identify. And I mean that was also one of the best and most repetitive questions I got on the beginning. Like, who is going to pay you? How do you make money? Like it's space degrees. I don't care about the junk of everyone else, right? So I mean, it was quite, interesting to make everyone convinced that that's the case. And then 2 years later, now everyone talks about it. But also actually the business model from the beginning was pretty inherited on the technology itself. So how we focus on detecting the debris, we do it in a one-to-one scenario. So we have one satellite, one customer. We don't need to build a constellation, and this has a direct impact on the business model. We're the first ones worldwide that you don't need a constellation like many satellites to cover Earth and then provide data, which allows us to go to the customer directly and, hey, you know what? Do you want like the best data possible out there? Then we will send a custom-made satellite just for you, so you pay us in advance. And that's what allows us to do it. If we would make a constellation at first, 10, 15, no matter how many satellites people want to launch, they need to take the investment, launch the satellites, and then start giving data. So we completely break that scheme.
Oh wow, this is impressive. How do you protect this from like other companies that now want to copy this approach?
Because I don't say what and how we do it, right? I just said we have the result. And second of all, we're going to apply for patents. We'll keep a lot of stuff confidential. And
what are the next milestones for your startup? So what's the next steps?
Great. So far we want to demonstrate soon enough. I on purpose don't say date because it's recorded, but soon enough we want to demonstrate the software module, which means the simulator, and how we assess the risk on different regions, different spacecraft on the long term. And then this will be the first product, the demo that we give out there is going to be software purely based on data that exists. And yeah, after that, again, technology-wise, we want to demonstrate the payload in space. So we want to have the antennas together with electronics on another satellite doing the so-called in-orbit demonstration. So that's the plan for now. Achieving TRL 7, technology readiness level 7, with the minimal cost possible. And on the business side, we want to expand the customer outreach, have more interviews, have more LOIs. And we're working on integrating more services on what we have. We don't stick on debris detection because why not? The technology we have actually is highly based on, as I said at the beginning, astrodynamics. So the way we do stuff, let's say, allows us to implement more services, not just debris detection. So we want to see which ones. And we work on that. And we want to fundraise. Actually, we start the seed round somewhere in the next couple of months. So this is the timeline.
Okay, cool. So that sounds like a lot of work, to be honest.
Yes, that's why I was late in the meeting, right? But yes.
Yeah. I'm also curious because that's not the first interview I'm doing with a person from the space industry. And what I learned from them, that Germany is not, on the forefront of the space race. So do you feel it affects the the startup that you're trying to do? And do you want to move somewhere where maybe it's easier or maybe more customers from the space industry? So, or am I wrong and Germany is the place to be for the space startups?
All right, got it. So, I can split it into two questions. First of all, how Germany looks like, and then what we want to do. On how Germany looks like, overall, it's like not just Germany, but also Europe. The way that we're doing business, as I said, we are still highly institutional based. So we have a lot of things centrally managed by the European Space Agency and European Commission, with some cases good, some cases, many of them, it's bad. And this also has direct effect on the industry itself. So people are not, let's say, or companies are not that dominant as in the US, for example. On the other hand, like there is this European Space Agency has this regulation that is called geographic return. So they're obliged to, literally by signature in law, they're obliged to return as much they got from every member state that participates back on the country in terms of either hiring people, paying contracts, or doing anything else. So this allows the companies that actually are on a country that invests more on the European Space Agency to take easier contracts out of there, or people to get hired. So this is really problematic, in my opinion. It constrains the industry, the development, the people, the talent that is hired. I've been in the European Space Agency for many educational programs, and I saw how this indeed affects a lot. So I would say it's not a problem of Germany, but rather general in Europe. I think there is movement to solve it, all of this delayed process, but still we need a lot of work there. So how this affects now on what we do, the services that we provide will be internationalized otherwise. So we can sell in many people, many companies, many governments. And Europe is one of the strongest in terms of the need of data for space debris, and that's because of the regulations, actually. Either good or bad, regulations in Europe are pretty abundant. I would say that's, also on the space debris is pretty obvious. We have the Zero Debris Initiative that came recently, and they're pushing more to reduce debris. So this forces companies also to take more measures against it. So Europe and Germany as economy to stay, it might have problems in terms of space industry, but in terms of market, it's a pretty good player. So we're planning to stay.
Okay, that's good to hear. But I'm also curious because I don't know if I'm selling apples, I might be able to sell apples to everyone. But I guess with space and as it's connected to the military technologies as well, I guess it also puts a lot of restrictions or with whom you can work. And I'm curious, as a like very young startup, is it something that you already face?
Of course, actually, I have had a lot of talks with people that have contracts with the military, and I also, I mean, a lot of technology that we develop and that I'm developing also on research can be applied on the military scheme, so to say, but we are not interested in that market yet. We don't want, I mean, many times it's the easiest. Many times people, just rush for it and they say, okay, dual use, let's go for military. But after all, our tagline is safeguard access to space and its exploration for humanity. And yeah, doing military activities is not promoting that, I would say. So by not having contract with the military, we're kind of more diverse on the market outreach. But given the constraints and the geopolitical situation lately, I wouldn't say we can sell everywhere or worldwide. So that's true, but we don't plan at the beginning, at least, to sell on military.
Maybe a bit to move away from the exactly space problems and the space industry problems. I'm curious, what was the most big achievement or something that you loved about your journey as an entrepreneur? Like if we are looking at this more from personal standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I started pretty early, like on the, so to say, trip on entrepreneurship was, yeah, I mean, I think kind of interesting because I didn't plan for it at the beginning. I knew that I wanted to, at some point, be more driven on the goal and then not letting people delay me, let's say, an institutional governmental agency. But yeah, it wasn't the plan to start that early. I found ideas and yeah, I was 19, started doing it. And yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty good for my experience also as a person to see how things are moving and how people change by just saying you are an entrepreneur. But that's another story, I guess.
Okay. And what then was the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome?
Oh, yeah. I mean, talking to people like this openly, I mean, I'm more like a shy person, but yeah, I got used to it after 2 years in the health, so I'm fine now.
So yes, maybe we can talk a bit more about the ecosystem that Munich offers. I'm assuming that you are part of the Venture Lab Aerospace. So how beneficial it is for you, how beneficial all the programs, because I know that they are out there, but sometimes you do program after program and it's a bit overwhelming, let's say. So yeah, maybe about your experience, what would you recommend? Which programs you like in particular? Because you also did a lot of programs by Unternehmertum. So maybe you can highlight the ones that were exceptionally good for you.
All right. I mean, I wouldn't say on the journey so far I found something that was exceptionally good, to be honest. But I found out that even if something doesn't look as impressive as it is, it ends up like leaving some, pieces of information. Or I wouldn't say information. I would say mostly learnings, because it can be not things that they said, but things that you saw and they didn't want to say. But yeah, I would say that in that sense, as I said from the beginning onwards, like I took all the programs Unternehmertum has, like Innovative Entrepreneurs, Business Plan Basic Seminar, Business Plan Advanced Seminar, Explore Market Pioneer, all the things that they had. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, again, like the knowledge itself was so valuable, but the way that I interact with other people, I saw how they ended up on doing things and how and why they do it was pretty beneficial. So I would suggest it overall. Yeah, we also had support from Venture Labs. We're technically still part of it. TUM Startup Consultancy. So we have help for Exist. Now we got Exist finally. And yeah, we have more, let's say, talks, I would say, rather than strategic, advice or something. So yeah, I mean, this helps, some contacts here and there. We're also part of the European Commission Cassini matchmaking program dedicated to space startups. This one actually was the most valuable so far, I would say. We didn't learn, they didn't have like training material, but they have amazing network for connections, investors, VCs. I mean, I don't know, like the variety of people that we met out of this is pretty great. And that's actually one of the good programs that the European Commission backed so far. And yeah, we are also kind of helped at some times with LNU. We had business development programs that would help us do something. And yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Also, ESA big. We got a business incubator from ESA, so we have some advice from there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so is there maybe an advice that you can give to a young founders?
I said the thing at the beginning at some point. I learned to not stick on the, how to say, conventional way of doing things. And yeah, as I said, like if I want to summarize in some sentence, yeah, learn how to not hear an advice, and including my advice. That's the way I said it. Like even the advice I'm giving you can be individualized. So take it with a grain of salt.
Okay, and maybe to wrap it up, maybe there is a question that you never asked, but you always wanted to answer.
Yeah, things are changing lately, I would say, you know, like worldwide, and we see that clearly. I mean, okay, now it's prior US elections, and many people talk about the end of the world. After this month, it will be better in the news, at least. But yeah, things are changing. Technology is developing really fast. We as humans won't stick on Earth only in the next decades. And we have, yeah, LLMs and AI doing a lot of progress. So yeah, I mean, as I said, be ready to not be ready. I think they say this saying somewhere in US Army, but yeah, a lot of things will change, so be mindful.
And there you have it. Huge thanks to Leonidas for joining us today. If today's discussion got you thinking, be sure to follow their journey, explore their work, and join the conversation. Because the future of space depends on how we handle what's already up there. And remember, as Leonidas says, prepare to be not prepared. And I think this is indeed great advice in our crazy world. Until next time, and keep looking up.